Hello, everybody. If it's Tuesday and 6 o'clock, it must be all things Brunswick.
It is.
We have an interesting show tonight with some discussion about various issues around the
banter.
Banter is a good word. We're going to be bantering.
That's what our producer said we were going to be doing.
We are. We're going to have a great show today. I'm Bill Moore. I'm one of your co-hosts. Our other co-host tonight is Greta Lehman, who's busily handling a door right now, but she'll be right back with us. And then we have the infamous
Dan Roman. Wait, I got to do the. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
just ignore it.
We've been working all diligently, studying all kinds of discussions for tonight.
There's so much to talk about.
The question is,
need like a 12-hour show to cover everything.
Start the show and end Thursday, and probably cover most of it. But we are waiting patiently for our partner to get back here because the show does not work without her tonight.
She is the rose between two thorns. She's the wind
She's the
beneath
transcending.
Our wings. The transcending. She's the banter S.
The banter S.
Or the banterers.
God, it's getting deep.
Hello,
you want to say hello before we get started?
Okay, hello. That was the Board of Elections guy. He said he just came here to harass you.
One or two words. One or two words.
Sorry.
All right, guys. We have a great show for you tonight. We're going to just start discussing some of the things that popped into our minds. And yes, we have minds. And I think the first thing we're going to talk about is something you hear every time you turn on the television, every time you go to the radio, every time you pick up a piece of paper, every time you go online. The word is a poll.
And we don't mean Poland.
That's true. Or even Poland water. We do have polls. Polls are around this in every direction. There are good polls. There are worse polls. There are even worser polls.
Yeah, there are no great polls.
There are no great polls
out
there.
There is,
but anyway, if you pay attention to polls over the years, you'll notice before an election, there's always a wide spread between candidates. Some Democrat is usually kicking the butt out of some other poor Republican, and by 10, 12, 20 points, and it's designed to make sure the Republicans feel there's no shot, then why should they vote? And then as you get closer and closer, that difference shrinks. And very often not because the numbers have changed, but these pollsters realize they don't want to look like a fool after Election Day.
Especially after like 2016, when every poll said that Hillary was going to win by a landslide. Oops.
They didn't check Donald's poll.
No, they didn't.
Yep. So anyway, what's your thoughts on polls, sir?
Not much.
That concludes that topic.
Really. I've looked at various polls. There are a couple that are somewhat reputable, but polls are a function of how the questions are asked, the type of questions that are asked, and easily manipulated. Mm-hmm. So they're nice to have. They're data. They're a data point, but they are not the be-all, end-all that the news media wants to make them out to be. And you brought up a great point. You talked about how 3 months ago, Zeldin in New York was double-digit points down to Hochul in the polling. Like he had zero shot. Like why even bother running? Now they're showing he's dead even, which means he's actually up because the polls always skew several points towards the blue. For whatever reason, we all know it's because of the manipulation, but we're trying to be polite here, right?
Since when?
Yeah. But I mean, if you look at, and the problem I think, and you brought up the point, people see this in the news, right? So-and-so's ahead by a wide margin. Why bother go vote? That's really what's going on, which is why you need to get out and vote, people.
Yes. Polls, there's other things that people don't I think, in general, understand about polls. Sample size.
Huge one.
I love to look at polls. I don't know why, because it drives me absolutely mad, but I do love to look at them. But whenever I see this crazy stuff like Dan's talking about, the first thing I do is click down and go, oh, you talk to 500 people.
Right.
Okay, well, in a nation this size, that's really not a sample. All right. And what's a likely voter? An adult what does that really mean now? Because like Dan was saying earlier, y'all didn't get to hear it, but I'll tell you right now, he's never been polled. As a matter of fact, neither have I.
Yeah. So I've
never been polled either.
And what do we all have in common?
Yeah. Well, we all have a certain letter after.
Yes, we do.
Our party affiliation.
PhD.
Yeah.
PhD.
Pretty heavy dude.
Oh Lord.
You said it, not me.
Anyways,
talking about your award.
I'm not real impressed with polls.
No.
I think that it a lot of it is drama and theater, and like you said, a lot of it is just to turn people off and turn them away. But polls, there's one other thing they don't account for, and that's the unaffiliated, and they have been a spoiler in the last couple of years. They have been a huge spoiler.
And there's a couple other issues that go with that. When you start looking at a poll, first of all, you start thinking about people are reluctant to tell you the truth anyway, because you get labeled. And nowadays, people are going to go hunting for you.
Yes,
You
they
know,
are.
and there's no
That's a fair point.
secrecy.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't depend on the fact that you did an anonymous vote on that thing, because someone's probably reading it as you say the words. They got your name written down on a piece of paper. Bill Moore said this.
Someone's got the name somewhere.
Right.
It's on a database when they're doing polling.
And the other thing is, polls to me are worthless, because if I'm doing 1,000 people and I go into the heart of liberalism, pick a city, down city, go in right to the heart, and I ask my 1,000 people questions,
Right.
what do you expect the answers are going to be? You think this Republican is going to have a vote there?
Mm-mm.
You know, so they're so out of whack depending who you ask. And then you brought something up in an early discussion, in a show prep, as we now call that. You brought up the fact that something he brought up. I'm going Bryce here.
You're
We,
hanging there, boss.
yeah, I know.
Let it
This is,
connect.
this is
Hang
the
in there,
connecting.
Bill.
Get
The
those
brain is
synapses
working.
connecting
Boom, boom,
there,
boom. You know, you brought up the fact that we start talking about people getting elected and people getting voting and people turning around. And I ask you this, how you going to vote? You're 100% Democratic? Is that going to work?
Mm.
No.
Nope.
It never is going to work.
Nope.
Mm.
Yet these polls become gospel to us,
It does.
you know, and it's the basis of money. And I will tell you this, and I'm saying this as a Republican. If I get one more message, well, I'm stopped reading them
know.
anyway. But if I get one more message that I'm down by 2 points and I'm going to catch up if you give me the votes, the more money. And yet you look at the polls and they're up by
I'm
3 or
getting
4.
Flooded with
Yeah,
yeah.
It doesn't end. And unfortunately, they use polls to their advantage to raise money.
Yeah.
And
They do.
that's another reason you can't support
Yeah, there
them.
was, forget where it was, one of the Senate races. That's exactly what it was. They were sending out some sort of message, text probably, saying, you know, this poll says so and so, and I'm down. We need donate $10, whatever.
Right.
I forget where it was, but yeah, it's to your point. That's exactly what they're doing. I have a question for you as an insider. You like this? So one of the things that I find interesting is there's the poll the media does,
Right.
but there's also internal polling the parties do.
Right.
Is it a fair assumption of mine, and I'm making this assumption, that those polls are more accurate? And the reason I'll say that, and then you can answer, is we're seeing the Democratic Party panicking in some areas, New York
Right.
being one of them.
Right.
They're now dumping millions of dollars to support Hochul. Hillary's now going. Not the smartest move ever,
No,
but we
no,
won't
not
go
good.
there.
Not good.
But they're
Well, they haven't
saying
brought
it's,
Joe in yet. That would help.
yeah, well, but it's directly because they're seeing the poll numbers.
Right.
So do you, in your experience, do you think the internal polling is a little bit more accurate?
Yes, I do, because they spend time and money to get real facts, to make decisions and where to spend money.
Yes.
You know, up to that point, the rest of it is, I hate to say it's showmanship someplace. I'm either ahead of you or I'm so far behind, I need another $10,000 from you so I can catch up and put more ads out there. Internally, parties do that for a couple of reasons. First of all, they really need to know who's got a good shot. You know, for example, what came out this week, the Republican National Committee just took 6 figures to 3 different congressional seats, one in California, one in New York, and I forget where the third one was.
Mhm.
You know, normally they rate everything by D or R+1, R+5,
Right.
you know, which they feel will lean that way. An R+5 or 6 or a D+5 or 6 is a pretty safe seat for the incumbent Democrat or Republican.
Right.
They put 6 figures into 3 counties that were Democrat +20.
Which means they're not.
They've
gonna
got something
pour
that
money-
makes it comedic.
Yeah, there's
Something
only-
makes it competitive.
Yeah. There's only so much money. I
Right.
mean, let's acknowledge there's billions of dollars being spent, but there's only so much to go around. So for them to do that, and that's my point too. Like when you see them dumping money into Hochul's race, you see them dumping into various races that should have been a lock for the Democrats. I don't see too much on the other side. Maybe I'm not watching the right things, but I don't see. I see what you're talking about, where we got a shot at this race. Let's dump some money in, but I don't see the panic dumping
No.
right on the Republican side.
No, if anything, they're evaluating and they're saying, for example, this person's running for Senate and either it's such a lock, I don't need to spend more money there. I
Mhm.
can divert it to some other place, or it's hopeless and let's spend the money where we have a chance.
Right.
And they will divert money either way, but it's done on some analysis, not just the sky is falling. We better get over there and straighten it out now. And, you know, I will give you an example. When Joe Biden has to go campaign for Democrats in Oregon,
There's a
Right.
problem.
Right.
There's a problem.
And yet it seems to me that New York, California, Oregon, Washington, a bunch of these states have suddenly tilted Republican, have suddenly leaned Republican.
Well, look, yeah, I think some of what's going on is using New York and California as an example. People think the states are blue and it's the entire state.
Right.
New York is not blue.
No.
Manhattan is blue.
Right. Right.
The Bronx is blue. The rest of the state, well, Albany's an exception and Buffalo's an exception. The rest of the state's red and solid red.
Right.
California, same thing. If you take the coast away, it's red. So I think what's happening is those people are still red, but there's enough people in the blue areas that are going one of two things: switching parties, because we're seeing that, or I can't go in the voting booth and pull a lever for my candidate, so I'm just not going to go.
Shockers out there, though. Coastal California, metropolitan New York. I mean, I am seeing people that like Sean Patrick Maloney. Now I know he got redistricted, but I am seeing things out there and I'm going, but he's in charge of the Democratic Congressional
I know.
Committee or something, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't he the guy?
He's one of them, yeah.
And I'm seeing things going on in coastal California, not necessarily LA, but coastal, where you got Monterey, San Francisco, whatever, and they're going pink.
They are, and it's you know,
Oregon.
the other one, Oregon. Like Bill brought up Oregon. One of the things, I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but it's on the ballot in a few of the counties to secede,
Oh yeah.
to go to Idaho.
Oh yeah.
So if you look at, there's some counties that have already voted for it and voted like 60% in favor.
Wow.
That was last year. You're talking, I'm ballparking, somewhere around 2/3 of the landmass of Oregon could potentially become part of Idaho. It's never going to happen. Let's just acknowledge that.
It's unfortunate.
Congress will never do it because then you're shifting a lot of seats.
Yeah.
But you know, to see that and to realize that we look at Oregon as a blue state, a
Mhm.
solid blue state,
the whole
the
West
whole
Coast.
state,
We
much
do.
like we do New York, right? It's not. It's blue in the big sections.
Right.
You know, in Oregon, it's Portland, Washington State, Seattle.
Well, even California, if you go
California
to
is-
you go to the eastern side of California, they're very much red.
Yes,
You
that's
know,
what
the
we're talking about,
coastline
yeah.
of California, the big cities are Democrat up and
It's
down the line.
Frisco,
Yeah, but
LA,
But they're
and
starting
San
to go
Diego.
pink in coastal areas, and this
Some
is
areas,
what we
yeah.
were talking about. We're now leaning Republican or tilting Republican, and it just comes out. Like I tell you, I drive myself crazy watching this stuff. Okay, that every day I'm checking multiple sites and I'm seeing, oh, well, this district in California now lean, and I look it up and I go, that's on the coast. Now, is it closer to Santa Barbara than LA? Don't ask me. But I know it's on, Central Coast California has been a problem. New York, I'm seeing things in metropolitan areas. Oregon blew my mind because Oregon was steady going blue, 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 right? And Washington State, I mean, that was like the definition of blue.
If you have to send Democratic resources to those states,
Well, that's our point.
This late,
Exactly
that's the
right.
whole
then there's an
Yeah.
issue going on
And that's what I
not
was
being
talking about.
addressed by polls.
Like when we're looking at the polling, we're hearing what the media says about polls. And that's why I brought up the question about what are the parties doing, because where are they sending people
Mhm.
and where are they spending their money? That's the real quotes poll, right?
Right.
So where's Obama been going to? That's
The
their
danger zones.
that's the main guy they
Yeah.
have to use right now.
Yeah,
Which-
he's his go-to.
Pennsylvania, Georgia.
Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
Georgia. So they're clearly worried about both of those.
Yeah.
And they considered both of those locks 6 months ago.
I agree.
I think
you
he's
know.
given up on Nevada.
Nevada was another one,
Yeah.
but that you don't see them pouring. I don't anyway.
Arizona.
Arizona is that one's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Both on many levels.
Yes.
Um,
The Kelly vote alone will be
Kelly
interesting.
vote's going to be very interesting. I think the governor one is going to be.
You mean
want-
Miss Lake?
I want her to win so bad just to watch her news conferences
I know.
because
she is definitely a female DeSantis. She has
she's
that.
also one of them, though. She was in the media.
She was.
For
Oh, I
a-
didn't know that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
years she was on a station in
Years.
Arizona. She was
Yes.
very popular,
I didn't have.
She
I
is
didn't know that.
so she's on the ins,
and she can talk.
she tears them apart.
Oh, she does.
And you know it, but again, that race was 6 months ago. Who's Carrie Lake?
Right.
You know, now she's nationally prominent. I mean, there's talk of her running for VP in 24.
Oh my God.
You know,
There's talk of a lot of people.
there's a
running for
lot.
VP.
But it's just amazing to me to see what's going on now. Next Tuesday is going to tell, right?
Yeah, that's the only poll that actually counts.
That's the only one
Yeah.
that matters.
Yeah.
The rest of it is supposition.
And that's why and we've all said it, get out and vote, because don't assume anything.
Nope.
And don't say you can wait till tomorrow, because we don't know what tomorrow's like. You could have an emergency. You could have a family member. You yourself could get sick, and you don't want to miss the chance to vote. If you can do it now, get her done. Get yourself in there and vote. There's a lot of places are fixed to make sure the cheating isn't going to happen. There's been a lot of steps done by the Republican Party to make sure we have as safe and fair election as you can find. I'll talk Brunswick now. You know, we are on paper ballots, and people complain because they have to bubble in all that
I
stuff,
hate
and
him.
it
I
takes
hate him
forever.
as much as the
They
next
But there are
hate 'em.
two things that the reason you're there. Our paper ballots are not hooked to the internet. That's why there's no computer
Right.
run on it.
They're air gapped. Yeah.
So even the tabulator that eventually gets fed to is not hooked to the internet.
Right.
So what they do at the end of the evening, they take out an encrypted stick or whatever you want to call it. They open it up. They download the data. They get the data to Central Brunswick County Board of Elections. They then turn around. They take it in. They have two computers in a big room, because I've been there.
Mhm.
And in one side, they load the data from all the precincts,
Mhm.
do all the uploads. They make sure it's 100%. Then they take another encrypted brand new disk, download it. They take it to the other computer, which is internet hooked, to send to the state. Then they follow it up with a phone call saying, I sent you the following data, quote, 50,000 here, 26,000 there.
Mhm.
Can you confirm that's what you received?
Yep.
So, you know, in Brunswick County, your vote is safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
You know, then no one's going to mess around with it, because they've built it in, and we have a good staff. And I have to tell you, we've had Republicans sitting as poll observers since day one of this operation. And I'm very happy when they came back and tell me it was the most boring 4 hours I've ever
Very
spent,
boring.
because that means that
Very.
nothing's wrong going there.
Right.
If they catch something a little sloppy, that's what they're there for. But there's no major issues in this county.
There's
So your
always
vote is
gonna be
safe.
Mistakes here and there. It's no
Yeah.
big deal.
People are human.
Exactly. We're all human, right? But
Even me. See?
You're an old human, though. But generally speaking, what you're saying, that's the way it should be everywhere. Unfortunately, we know it's not.
Well, you know, thank God for something that the Republican Party won again in court. No drop boxes.
Well, yeah, that
Correct.
was
You know,
Yeah.
and they beat it 2 years ago, and they beat it again this time. You know, because we don't need. That's a disaster looking for a place to happen.
It is.
You know, if you look at, you know, and I love the Supreme Court. One of the justices, I think it was Thomas, that just ruled that one of the states is they've got people.
Arizona.
They've actually got watchers of the drop boxes,
Volunteers.
and they're
Yeah.
just sitting there to watch who's putting stuff in there.
yeah.
And unfortunately, that's where you need to be with this, because some people have no moral support at all, no moral code at all.
You know, you have a right to watch.
Mhm.
If you're not interfering with people, then even the cops there said they're not bothering you.
Yeah,
buddy.
they're
But
perfectly
they're
fine.
bothering. They're upsetting you. That is not interfering. Okay. It was really ridiculous, some of the complaints, and people come up and curse at them and say things to them. And they're like, they don't say a word. They just sit there and watch. I'm very proud of those people.
Yeah, you have to have a lot of gumption to not respond,
Right.
because that's what they want you to do. If you
But they
respond, then they've got the news media will be all
Nope.
over it.
Very
And it'll
professional.
be voter suppression, whether it was
Exactly.
or
Yep.
not.
And they're trying to claim just sitting there is.
Yeah.
You
Did
know,
it
voter
upset
intimidation is the other one you'll hear a
Yes,
lot of.
yes.
You know, but I laugh because every time I've gone and vote, I've got to run the gauntlet of candidates.
That's
Or the
intimidation.
greeters.
And you know, one thing, having come from New York, they don't allow that up there. You're not allowed. I think it's 300 yards. Don't hold me to that
Oh,
number.
wow.
So you can get out of your car and walk into the polling place and you're not going to be. But I remember last year going to vote, and I'm not going to name any names, but I'm not joking. I had 6 different politicians swarm me.
In our state,
Both sides, by the way.
In our state, the buffer zone is 50 yards.
I think
50
more
feet,
like
actually,
50 feet, to be honest
not
with
50
you.
yards,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, and another thing that New York is doing they've never done before, they actually have 5 days of early voting.
Yes, that's the new form.
Yeah, that's still.
And one of the things I've been doing a lot of thinking about early voting, and I'm in favor of it to a point, but I think it's getting too big now. Like, we need a week.
I agree.
Nothing more than that.
I agree.
It should be the Tuesday before till the Tuesday of election, and at whatever time period. Some states it's 7, some it's 8, some it's 9. That's it. You're done.
Done.
Get your mail-in vote in by then.
Right.
And you take a look at even the numbers day by day of early voting. The worst day that we're doing, and we've had 2 Sunday early voting dates. One had 778 voters. The other one last week was 748.
I'm actually surprised you had that many, to be honest.
But the point is, you're getting 3,000 or 4,000 every other day throughout the county.
Right.
You put these dates on, and so you're only getting 700 people. You're paying to open up a building. You're paying salaries for people to be there.
Right.
And you're not getting $1 for your dollar. If those 700 people could find 6 other days of the week, they could go vote. So I don't see Sunday voting being an answer to anything.
It hasn't really worked out, has it?
And
No,
the
it
numbers
hasn't.
are showing that.
There's no numbers there.
700.
No.
I mean, that's out of tens of thousands.
Well, we've already had over 30,000 votes in Brunswick County as of yesterday. That's not counting today. And I have 32,500 in round numbers.
Yep.
And you got to figure of those to use 2 Sundays account for approximately 1,500 of it.
Mm-hmm.
1,500 votes out of 32,000 votes.
So you brought up the point earlier about get out and vote. Now, I always wait. Now, I will go Friday. That's when I'm going to go, because you don't know what might pop, right?
I know.
Not that I'm really worried about any of the candidates that I'm going to vote for, but you don't. I mean, there's a sheriff locally. We all know what he did. I certainly wouldn't be voting for him.
God, I hope New Hanover is not voting for your sheriff. Oh, God. I hope not.
No, this
No,
was
we're talking Columbus County.
Columbus
I think.
County.
Oh, Columbus County. But
that guy.
You, but you,
No, don't go,
yeah,
go there.
yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah.
I mean, if I
Columbus,
were
they're
in
not
that
voting for him.
county and I had
I know.
already voted for him,
I know.
I would feel like crap right now.
Yes.
Well, there is some indication he's going to get reelected. And that would mean that there's also an indication that the DA has already said they'll refile the
The
charges in the
DA is
state
already
court.
working on it.
Yeah,
And
so,
I'm sure at that point the feds will get involved even.
well, I
or
think the
state.
NAACP has already
Yeah.
asked for federal intervention.
Bill, I had a thought. You have turned out so many poll greeters, poll observers, and I've never seen that kind of enthusiasm. I was not expecting that many volunteers and those numbers. I think you should say something to them. I really do. You really should.
And you have the perfect time to do it.
Seriously,
hand you
we're
the
almost
phone.
there.
For the literally hundreds of volunteers that have come across to either work as a poll observer or outside greeting people and, handing them a sleigh card or asking if they want a sleigh card. And 99% of them are doing a magnificent job. They're
Yeah.
polite. They're not making many mistakes. I want to thank you. You're going to make a difference in this election. And because of you, we're going to do very, very well next week. And I want to thank you. And when this is all over, more importantly, don't disappear. Stay within the party. If there's not everything you like, help us change it. If there's things that you do like, help us make it better and, help us push those points forward. But don't just walk away after this election, because as soon as this closes down, we go to work on
I was
2024.
going to say,
Boom.
you got another one coming 2 years.
Yep.
I mean,
They're
next year is
amazing.
still an important election, but it's a small
Well,
one.
next year's munis,
Muni-
and
yeah.
and in Brunswick, it's all non-affiliated. So it's not really an issue for the
There's
county.
nothing there.
There's nothing
So
for me
we
to
just
vote on.
started a 2-year plan for 2024.
So my argument that the munis are the most important elections is really not going to matter much.
Well, it might be important to New Hanover. It's just
My argument is always the people that are closest to you are the most important votes you make
Absolutely. Absolutely.
local affects you more than anything else. That's the
by
truth.
a long shot.
Yeah. And, but again, we have 19 municipalities in this county,
Mhm.
and they're all unaffiliated. There's nobody running as a Republican or a Democrat. We can look them up, and we will provide anybody next year who wants to know the Republicans running. We'll have an ongoing list by seat saying these are the Republicans running, but we're not going to get involved because frankly, they don't want us involved. This is a local issue. I'm running, I am running to fix an issue in my town.
Mhm.
Or on my town. I'm not running as a Republican or a Democrat. I'm running as someone that can fix the job.
Right.
And down the road, they may become more active with the party as they choose to move up, whatever else. But next year is not a major issue for the party. It's
Right.
more of a take a little break from 2022, yet start gearing up for 2024, because that's going to be a
You think they'll even
interesting
take
year.
a break? I think come November 9th, the election process for 2024.
Well, actually, I'm
is gonna
rolling out
start.
my plan on the 10th.
Love it.
We have a meeting the night of the 10th. I've already
There
got
it
it
is. I was
written.
going to say.
It's coming out for 2023 and 2024. It's ready. And I'll
Yeah,
get the executive
it's-
committee to look at it.
You know, I think it might just be about that time, Bill.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like we should pay a few bills.
That's what I thought she was referring to.
Well, I suddenly dawned down there because the message is there.
That's why I kept
TK, can
quiet.
we pay a few bills and we come back and talk later?
Okay.
Maybe not.
On the other
There
hand,
he goes.
Has 5 children and 6 grandchildren. He is a retired sales professional with the VA from Wake Forest. Steve is a candidate for Brunswick County School Board. He is in favor of greater local control, parental rights, and equal opportunities. He will help students that wish to pursue tech and trade careers. Steve believes in upholding American exceptionalism in U.S. civics and history. Vote Steve Gainey for Board of Education, District 5, Brunswick County. Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, located at 8210 River Road, Southport, is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the Tackle Box open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6. Marine Service Pro is a full Suzuki and Tohatsu dealership. They deal in pre-owned boats, full service and repair, with certified technicians in all engines, and fiberglass specialists. The Tackle Box offers fresh local seafood, live bait, a tackle shop, and fish packing and shipping. They also offer a full-service U-Haul dealership. Spend time with Leon or Jenny for one-stop shopping at Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, 8210 River Road, Southport.
This show is also sponsored by Dr. Tony Maglione. Dr. Tony is a cardiologist practicing in Wilmington. He accepts Medicare patients, and his office is located across the street from New Hanover Regional Medical Center at 2032 17th Street. The office number is 202-1071. Dr. Tony is an author whose last book is Rules for Conservative Patriots, and it can be purchased on Amazon. His website is www.drtonymag.com.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you are a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Are you nervous about joining a gym? Anxious about not being able to keep up with others in the fitness classes? Full Circle Fitness has your solution. We specialize in working with those just getting started on their fitness journey. Our coaches tailor each workout to you and your level of ability, so you don't have to worry about keeping up. There's no better opportunity to get started. Call today, Full Circle Fitness, 910-399-8350, or visit FullCircleFitnessNC.com.
Brian Wilson, your Republican nominee for District Court Judge. During his life, he has gone from protecting our country as a combat vet in our military to serving this state as a member of JAG, currently defending and protecting in the courtroom as a guardian ad litem attorney of Brunswick, Columbus, and Bladen counties. Please help continue his good work in our state and our county by voting Brian Wilson for District Court Judge.
Welcome back. It's still Brunswick. It's all things Brunswick here, and the three of us are having a great time discussing a Tuesday night event just 1 week before Election Day. So anyway, there's something else that's indirectly affecting election because the Speaker of the House's husband was attacked by a mentally deranged man who evidently they're now labeling as a Republican.
Well,
or
they
MAGA,
initially did
a Canadian Republican, even better.
until they found out he's a member of the Green Party, which is not exactly a right-wing organization.
They were still talking about, even though he's Berkeley liver, he's got all those credentials from SDS and whatever else from the past, they still think he's a Republican.
And let's clarify right off the bat, we are appalled by the attack. Appalled.
Yeah, no one deserves to be
No
attacked
one does.
ever. And I agree to that.
But there's a lot of what ifs going on, a lot of speculation from both sides, to be fair. The initial claim he was a MAGA, which you're not a member of the Green Party and a MAGA person. I'm sorry. That's just hilarious to me.
He was a nudist activist.
I was just going to say he was a nudist, right?
Because he had nothing to hide. That's why he was transparent.
Yeah. But and then there's talk about the glass breaking.
Which way
did it go? And I gotta be honest with you, that one I kind of dismiss because you smashed it to get in, you're still going to be charged, you're going to pull them out and drop them. So that's a realistic thing that it could be on the outside. I don't think that is proof one way or the other, at least my opinion. But the ultimate proof, and the proof that I want to see before I make any decisions on it, where's the body cam footage?
You mean from the two officers that watched the
officers that
attack?
were literally standing there when the attack happened. Where's the security camera footage? Why haven't they released it? It's the argument I heard today was they haven't released it because Mr. Pelosi is in his underwear. Well, blur it out. Blur out that part.
Could have been worse. He could have been in someone else's underwear. I mean,
maybe he was. I mean, there's speculation that way too. We don't know. And it is. But the issue that's happening is people are just running with whatever. And you can think whatever you want, but I want to see the body cam footage more than anything else.
There's questions about the ties he brought with him. He supposedly had ties yelling, "Where's Nancy?" And he wanted to tie her up with these.
Oh, yeah. The attacker, you mean?
The tactical ties he had with him.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's. What's that?
Note to self, this microphone is on its last days.
Oh, okay. We'll continue on.
Yes, we'll drive on.
But, it's. Some people are saying this is one of the October surprises. I don't think it matters.
No, I don't think this was set up. I don't think it was set up like that.
It is kind of a funny story, though.
My only comment to that is, I don't know exactly how old Mr. Pelosi is, but he's in his 80s.
He's 82, I heard today. Yeah.
I know Nancy's 82, so I'm assuming they're close. I mean, guys are generally a little bit older, but that doesn't hit all the time either. But someone swings a ball-peen hammer at an 82-year-old man, and he's in his 30s. He's got a lot of strength coming with him. He's got a lot of power coming with him. And I don't wish the man ill well, but I'm just wondering how, after being hit in the head with a ball-peen batter that's being swung by a deranged madman, strength of a madman, how you're recovering that quickly.
Yeah, there's a lot to be figured out about all of that. The cops were there in minutes, like
They said 2.
2 minutes.
He had defensive wounds. He had,
yep,
yeah,
there-
he
there
had
were
wounds
defense-
to his
there's-
arms and hands.
But again, a lot of it, it was funny. I was looking at the mainstream media reporting on this last night, and I don't think they've figured it out yet. So they don't know how to spin it,
No.
right? And the problem is they're not spinning it. And they're having to actually report it as news because there's no way for them to spin it.
Right.
Because there's too much. It's all conjecture at this point. The only people that really know are the people that were in the room.
Right.
And unfortunately, I know Mr. Pelosi is still in the hospital. I think the attacker went to the hospital.
He was
Yes.
arrested. It was supposed to come out to be arraigned yesterday.
Rain
Or
and all
today.
that. I will be shocked if in a few months he is not found.
Competent.
Dead.
No, what's the word I want to say?
Oh, silent?
Clintonized,
Silenced.
silenced.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Trying to not, I got to skirt the old censors here, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I'm sure. But it's a sad situation more than anything to me at this point. And
It is.
it's being twisted into political when maybe it is, but everything I'm seeing is it's not at this point,
No, I agree with you.
And I guess time will tell, but the number one way to clear this all up, release the body cam footage, or at least release the audio.
Right.
Transparency is the word that everyone runs around with today. We're not seeing any of it now. Even the DA who's pressing the charges. And interestingly enough, this man is facing both state and federal charges.
Federal.
Right.
Yeah. Which may be appropriate though, because of her, wouldn't you say that if it was a Republican, federal charges would still be filed? I would think they would in this case.
I've always had a personal issue with 2 different groups going after the same person with the same crime. And now I'll get you because you got your murder here, and over here you violated someone's civil rights. So I get you another 30 years.
Mhm.
I thought it was the attempted kidnapping, the zip ties on the federal
There-
side.
It's there was a list of charges.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was more than
There
one.
was
Okay.
more than one. I don't
Okay.
remember them all.
All right.
I watched a lot of news this afternoon on that and the other story we're going to get to. And some of it just went
Yeah.
because, again, they're speculating. They can't run a narrative. They can't spin it.
But they're trying because it is election time.
Exactly.
However, regardless of what, we do wish Mr. Pelosi well.
Absolutely.
Yes. very
We hope
much.
that he does recover from everything.
Poor man.
And the man who did it gets justice appropriately, whether it be containment in a mental hospital, whether it's prison. That's for someone brighter than we are that's going to hear the whole thing and make
Right.
decisions on it. So we do wish Mr. Pelosi well, and we do wish that all the facts come out as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
And hopefully people will wait to hear the facts because, again, this should not be spun either way.
No.
Which leads me to
Why don't you take over?
Oh, we're gonna.
Take it
Ladies
away.
and gentlemen, I need to explain to you why I keep leaving.
Okay.
We are, in addition to doing the show, we're also running elections around here. And one of the headquarters jobs is to handle questions from people. So when someone calls in, I need to run for a minute and handle it. And these more than capable people will make it so you don't even miss me.
We're people now.
Oh, you want to be just a
We
person?
were co-hosts. Now we're people.
Now we're people.
People.
Okay, got ya.
All right, I'm going to go down the path. The other thing that we were going
Can't
to talk
wait.
about, which came out yesterday, and I'll be honest with you, I think this is a bombshell. This one, they're going to try and silence it as best they can because it is not good. Basically, it was initially reported by The Intercept, and then it's been going to other ones. But basically, in a nutshell, they have documentation, including emails and other documents, showing that DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and the FBI have been directly working with big tech, Twitter, Facebook, and all of them, and potentially censoring things.
Such as.
Such as, I don't know, the Hunter Biden laptop story.
my.
That's the big one that's in there. Now, if you think about it, it was right about this time, about a week to 10 days prior to
It was.
the election,
You're right.
that it came out, and they actively suppressed it.
Yep.
Uh,
They admit
Now-
it too.
they did.
Yeah.
And I've seen multiple polls, taking them at their will, where they polled people who voted for Biden and said, how would you have voted had you known about the story? The plus minus is enough to switch the election. Take it for what a grain of salt, right? We don't know one way or the other for sure.
Right.
But I got to believe there's a lot of people that had they heard that story,
I believe
might
that.
have voted differently.
We knew so little about him, didn't we? I mean, the man spent how many years in the Senate, and yet we knew so little about him. He didn't come
Joe?
out. He didn't do interviews. You know, he
Still
stayed
doesn't.
home, right? But we didn't see him.
And he in that election, he hid in the basement.
Right.
Right. But when you look at that Hunter Biden story, that's just an example. They've got a lot. I mean, this isn't something that it's going to try and be spun as conspiracy theory and all that, because they've got them.
Is this Chuck Grassley and his crew turning this data over?
I'm sure. No, so where, if you bear with me here, basically it was Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt,
Oh,
who
wow.
also happens to be running for the Senate.
Yes.
Filed a lawsuit. So some of this came out in Discovery. There's also been other leaks from different places, basically saying, and again, I'm coming off of the Intercept's website is where I'm getting this data.
Okay.
So it's a very long article. I mean, it took me 20 minutes to get through the whole thing.
With or without your crayons.
Yeah. And to be fair to them, it looks like it's well researched, well documented. You know, we all know the media spins things.
Sure.
And I'm sure there's a little bit of spin in here.
A drop.
But that said, for example, there's a special Facebook portal that the government uses to talk to Facebook and say, hey, this post is not right.
Oh, God.
And you can't see it, but there's the portal.
What?
It's live.
Whoa. The government uses a portal to Facebook to do what now?
To report posts that they deem as they're
Or
calling it
strongly
misinformation.
suggest a shutdown.
What they'll say is,
That's frightening.
Greta posted this post. This is misinformation. Take it down.
That should frighten everybody.
That's a direct violation of the First Amendment.
Certainly is.
Because, and now here's the thing. This is where I want to go with it. Bring me in if you need to. The first thing, let's assume the Republicans take the House for sure. Very good shot at the Senate. Day one, the first thing I think they need to do is go after Section 230.
I agree.
There is nothing more important than this, because that is silencing the First Amendment.
Yep.
If
It is.
we don't address that, then they're still going to keep doing it. No, who's going to rein them in?
Right.
They're the only people that can rein in justice, Department of Justice, DHS, basically is Congress, because the
That's right.
president sure as hell ain't going to do it.
All right, so I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just asking, what do you think the Congress should be doing or can do?
So
Let's assume they take a bare majority in either house. They have enough to be in charge, but not enough to override, which is probable.
right. So obviously any law is not going to do any good, but the weight of public opinion.
Oh, if you're saying hearings, absolutely agree with you.
So what I'm saying is they hold hearings, right? I will use Facebook as the example because Mark and I don't get along already to begin with, right?
He mentioned that the other
Yeah,
day.
he did. I've lost accounts on Facebook for saying that, in July of 2021, I lost accounts on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook for saying that the jab did not stop you from getting it or transmitting it. I was taken down from quotes misinformation because Biden said it did work. Turns out I'm right, he's wrong. I still haven't gotten those accounts back. My argument would be, and by the way, Senator Tillis is on the committee for that, to say that these big tech companies are acting as publishers
They are.
Yes.
by saying, Greta, you're okay. You can post this because we agree with it.
Right.
But Bill, you're banned.
Publishers and or editors.
Right.
Yes.
Because the reason I'm so passionate about this is they are the public square right now.
Right.
Twitter, Facebook, although Facebook's dying. I mean,
Yeah. Meta, they call it now,
like
right?
Meta,
Yeah.
but I mean, they
oh
are
my God,
really
they're in
getting
trouble.
crippled. But
Yeah.
hopefully Elon with Twitter will, I'm hopeful, but I'm in the back of my mind going, maybe we'll see.
Right.
But they are the public square. They are what drives public opinion.
They are.
So if we don't reverse that, there's no hope, because whoever controls the media, quotes,
Right.
controls the public,
Right.
you know.
Controls a percentage of the public, because as we've talked many times before, there's a large percent of this public that doesn't believe a thing that they read in the media or hear in the media.
No.
And both sides, by the way.
Right.
Right.
You know, there's the, I'm going to say crazies on both sides,
There are.
but the bulk of us are in the middle somewhere. We might be leaning right, we might be leaning left, but we're sane, right? I usually say 10% on one side, 10% on the other.
Right.
The rest of us are, we may lean one way or the other, and we may be passionate about it like we are, but we're not crazy. And I think that this is the biggest issue the country's facing, because if we do not change it, there is no hope. I truly, that is where I believe
Yes.
we are at. It will lead to civil war,
Yes.
because there are enough of us, like to your point, that see what's going on and are never going to stand for it. What can Congress do? They can hold hearings. They can pass a law. It'll never get past Biden. We all know that. But by doing that, that'll empower those of us to speak up and hit them where we can affect them.
Now, I'm not, I agree 100% with the hearings, and I'm not against passing the law, even though we know it's going to go down, because at least it's demonstrating that you tried.
Or tried.
Yes.
That's all we're asking.
Yes.
And if you're out there doing what you think best, and you can't get it through because the reality is you don't have the votes,
Mhm.
at least we know you tried.
But I still have to believe that if things turn out for Congress the way it's looking, there's a fair number of Democrats who are
I think Woodcross. I do too.
in that
I
group,
agree.
okay, okay, hold up, time out. We're here to do this job.
Yep.
Okay. And I think they would cross over, and that would give us the majority we needed.
I do think there is a legit shot at a veto override
I do too.
for repealing 230, because there are enough
Vulnerable.
vulnerable Democrats, but also enough sane ones. There are some sane ones, believe it or not, that I think would go, yeah, this is wrong.
But how's
Bridge
crazy
too far.
worked out for them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bridge too far.
You think it's a bridge too far?
I know. I think that's what they're thinking when they would swing over.
yeah.
This is a bridge too far.
That is.
This is my hill to die on. It really is on 230. I just think that what's happened to this country is directly a result of social media and how it's being manipulated. We are being manipulated.
Yes, we are.
But don't forget, the biggest terrorist in the world now is Elon Musk, because he's giving back freedom of speech.
Well, I mean, look at how upset they are on the left side that he's taken it over. And I love my favorite line they use: how can we let a billionaire take control of it? And I sit there going, Jack from Twitter, Zuckerberg,
George Soros.
Soros,
Yeah.
Bezos owns the Washington Post.
Right.
You think billionaires don't already own it? Come on. I mean,
We're talking about the right billionaires.
that's yeah.
They're not anti-billionaires, the right beard,
But
And
the difference is Elon. Well, I don't know. Soros immigrated, right?
Yeah, I believe he did. He's from
Elon-
Austria, if I
Yeah.
remember right.
somewhere over in Eastern Europe.
But Elon immigrated to this country.
But isn't it wonderful
It
that
is.
an African American now owns Twitter?
It is. An African American immigrant who legally immigrated to
Legally
the U.S.
immigrated, owns
is a
Twitter,
billionaire.
and is the richest man in the world.
What is this a great country or what?
That doesn't say what we stand for right there.
Amen.
You know, I am hopeful with Elon. I've got a little reservations here and there, because and I'll tell you where it comes from. He is an extremely intelligent man.
Oh yeah.
He didn't buy this to lose money.
No, he did not.
And that's why I say I'm so passionate about 230 is the left's argument right now is we'll destroy Twitter by getting rid of your advertisers. And they're actively trying to do that already.
Well, speaking on that thing, I do believe that when he fired the 4 executive officers from the thing, one of them was the attorney that won the case to make him pay $54 billion.
Yeah.
He had no life expectancy, regardless what his experience, his philosophy was. He was done.
Well,
Yeah.
the number 3 person,
The
Rajay,
disinformation
whatever her name is,
chief.
she's the one who was meeting with, if you bear with me a second, she was meeting, I have a quote here on it.
With the-
talk while I'm looking.
with the FBI agent.
More than that.
Oh,
Give me,
no.
you guys talk. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. I got it. So they were meeting prior to the 2020 election. Tech companies, including Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Discord, Wikipedia, Microsoft, LinkedIn, and Verizon, pretty much all the big ones, were meeting on a monthly basis with the FBI, CISA, and other government representatives. And we're not talking some middle manager at
No.
those companies. You're
No.
talking high people.
Oh, yeah.
So
Highest
when-
level you're going to find.
So it begs the question a month or so ago when Zuckerberg was on with Joe Rogan and said, I didn't know anything. Really?
Mm,
Really? I want to know, you know,
Yeah.
Well, except he wasn't under oath.
that's, you know, that's the key point that I'm bringing up. They need to bring them in. They need to put them under oath,
And they also need, if when they catch them lying, to do something about it.
which they've already caught them and haven't done
Oh, yeah,
anything about
but they don't have the power right now. They
it.
can't.
If you, I correct me if I'm wrong, but if you lie under oath to Congress, who is the one that would enforce
Congress
that?
has to make a recommendation to the FBI
Okay.
to take action on it. Then it goes to the courts. But if right now the majority in Congress
Well,
is
yeah, but I'm
not,
saying it's going to flip.
yeah,
in
once it
January,
flips, they have
hopefully.
the right to file charges through the FBI into the courts.
And they need to. I think win, lose, or draw, whatever happens, just making the attempt. Will
Oh, I
speak
agree.
Volumes to people.
Especially if the people are still going to support them to 2024. You know, we have this
I
is an important election. 2024 will become the pivotal election in 2 years.
yes.
I
so-
make no bones about it. I am watching what happens the first 6 months of next year.
Mhm.
If I don't see action taken, how can I support a party that doesn't take action? I don't want to see 2018 again. They had the House, the Senate, and the White House, and they really didn't do much.
Well, and I don't think they have a lot to look forward to in the next 2 years, to be honest with you, because I think a lot of skeletons are going to fall out of a lot of closets, let's say Ukraine, China.
Oh, yeah.
And I think certain families, high up families in our lovely government, are going to have a lot to answer for. What I mean, really, is Joe Biden going to veto something like that while at the same time all these things are coming
He
out?
may not be there
I know.
because, I mean, his son, that's hanging there. And
Yeah,
that
but
more and more is coming out about
you're
that.
all forgetting the ultimate power of a president. One word: pardon.
True.
I'll give you two other words.
No, you can't. It's a family show.
Kamala Harris. The best way to protect him from staying president was making her vice president. If
Yes.
she's as bad as he is, she would be a nightmare worse. I mean, it wouldn't even.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he could just as easily turn
absolutely.
around and pardon Bo and pardon his kids.
Pardon,
Hunter,
yes.
you mean?
But he
Hunter,
can't,
I'm sorry.
Bo's the
Yeah,
one that
Bo's
passed
dead.
away.
but a pardon does not erase when the data comes out. Okay.
Right.
You-
Public opinion is going to override
the
that
deals
part.
with China,
Yeah.
the deals with the Ukraine, the Biden family syndicate, that whole thing. Pardons, I mean, you pardon his brother too, for that matter, but that doesn't erase the data. That doesn't erase the sense
Yeah.
that,
I mean, it'll prevent him from going to prison.
you know, let's put, I'm your average American. Let's put two and two together. We're all this money at Ukraine because it's the right thing to do. Okay. Is that why he's doing it? I mean, I know why I support Ukraine in the sense of whatever we can do without getting dragged into a war, right?
Mhm.
But why is he Joe Biden so passionate about it? Because I have to
The
wonder.
fact that his son was on Burisma.
Burisma.
Well,
Yeah.
might have something to do with it, you know.
You mean, and the big guy got some money out
The
of
big
it.
guy
Whoever
might
the
have,
big guy
you know,
was.
And Ukraine may have some information on the big guy.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sure it's
that
there
is,
somewhere.
You know, they're throwing. I heard
Well,
somebody said another $50 billion.
He's already planning another 50 billion after the elections to go to Ukraine. It's going to be introduced in that lame duck section.
And look, I'm supporting Ukraine.
Absolutely.
What happened to them, and more importantly, to the people in Ukraine, is atrocious. But it's not our job to pay for it. Not to this level. Not when we're in an economy that is just.
Well, you know, even on forget for a minute supporting the old domino theory, which we did with communism years ago. We had to protect everybody. My concern right now is our own readiness.
Yes.
You know, We are shipping, I live in where coming out of our ports down here is all the ammunition that goes to the entire Atlantic side.
Mhm.
Yes.
And
You are a popular man today.
I'm a legend in my own mind today, and that's not getting answered. But those where I live, the train goes right near me, going by there. Maybe every 6 weeks, you get a train going by there. It's almost every other day now. It's
Really?
Oh,
It
yeah.
is coming by there, and you can always tell it's coming because the MPs are driving by with their trucks and they're checking everything out. So within 24 hours there's a train coming by.
Yeah.
But it is probably a minimum of 2 to 3 days a week.
So they're stockpiling.
They're not stockpiling; they're shipping it right out again. And the
shipping it
problem
forward.
is,
No, I mean stockpiling in Europe.
yeah, and the problem, look, they're using it in Ukraine. That equipment's going over there, is being
Yeah.
fired out. So the question is, what's left for our people? Because we're using it quicker than we can replace it.
True.
Strategic Petroleum Reserve. What's
There's
left for
another
us?
good point.
What's
left for our
strategic?
people?
They burned that up.
Yep.
And then the big one that's hanging out there is Taiwan.
Big.
It's a perfect storm against us that's happening, right? We're using up our supplies. We're giving away things.
How about the most brilliant idea? Sell high, buy low, which is example how he's going to fix the supplies we've sold away from our strategic oil. We're going to sell it high at $80 or $90 a barrel, and we're going to buy it back at 50 or 60. Except you're telling the other guy what you're doing, and do they
already
look
know it.
stupid?
They are not. OPEC and the rest of them are anything but stupid. So what do? They cut production.
We are reached that point, guys, where
Already?
we have to pay our bills one more time and then wrap up the show. So it's gone very quickly. So we'll be right back, everybody. Hang in there.
Children and 6 grandchildren. He is a retired sales professional with the VA from Wake Forest. Steve is a candidate for Brunswick County School Board. He is in favor of greater local control, parental rights, and equal opportunities. He will help students that wish to pursue tech and trade careers. Steve believes in upholding American exceptionalism in U.S. civics and history. Vote Steve Gainey for Board of Education, District 5, Brunswick County.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you are a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
This show is also sponsored by Dr. Tony Maglione. Dr. Tony is a cardiologist practicing in Wilmington. He accepts Medicare patients, and his office is located across the street from New Hanover Regional Medical Center at 2032 17th Street. The office number is 202-1071. Dr. Tony is an author whose last book is Rules for Conservative Patriots, and it can be purchased on Amazon. His website is www.drtonymag.com.
Brian Wilson, your Republican nominee for District Court Judge. During his life, he has gone from protecting our country as a combat vet in our military to serving this state as a member of JAG, currently defending and protecting in the courtroom as a guardian ad litem attorney of Brunswick, Columbus, and Bladen counties. Please help continue his good work in our state and our county by voting Brian Wilson for District Court Judge.
We're down to our last few seconds. Another show that went extremely quickly. We covered a lot of discussion.
We were all
did
over,
but we did a lot of important things for people to think about. So I think we did very well this week. And we want to thank you for tuning in. And we'll be back next week on Election Day. This is Bill Moore.
And I'm Greta Lehman.
And I'm Dan Railman. Go vote.
Amen.
We're not Democrats, so we don't vote often, but we do vote. Thanks, everybody.